Hi folks, just a quick video. I'm getting to the end of doing some of my cabinet conversions at the moment, so I just wanted to give a quick update. For all intents and purposes, Double Dragon 2 is now finished. Got a couple more going on at the sides. You can see Alien Storm there undercover. I've had to re-sand the front because I'm going to repaint the front on that, but the control parts arrived. And Double Dragon, I'm just waiting for the bezel artwork to arrive. And a few touches to do on that. I've got to spray the lower front black, and then that one will be done as well. But Double Dragon 2, for now, is certainly finished. What this was originally, it was a Windfall Video generic jammer cabinet, which you may have seen a lot of in the past, and it would have originally had this kind of weird hypnotic orange and green colour scheme, which is not very pleasant to look at. And as much as people like to keep jammers the way they are, the point being that you can just swap boards out, it's kind of ugly in my opinion. And I was looking to do dedicated Double Dragon cabinet for quite a while, and after a while I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to find one come up, because the only cabinets that I used to get used to have the original put into a Taito Universal, and Double Dragon 2 was put into another kind of generic cabinet. It wasn't intended just for Double Dragon 2. And that was only really in America as well. So my decision was to try and take a couple of cabinets that look like they would fit the bill. Obviously they're 2-player, 3-button games. They both use identical hardware. And I do have original boards for both, although I do have one Double Dragon 2 board out for repair at the moment, and my one Double Dragon 1 board is playing up at the moment. But I've done decent work on some of these. The one I've got here wasn't a Windfall Video cabinet, it was a different one. But what I've done with that one is I've sprayed the front black, done a black bezel. The bezel artwork will be going on there, but I need a new piece of glass for that, so I've ordered some 4mm acrylic. That's on the way for that. I showed pictures the other day of where I've obviously added the Taito Universal side artwork directly onto the grey sides for that one. And that one will be finished up in due course. Double Dragon 2, however, like I say, it's got a slightly showier cab, I would say, originally, and I've tried to keep as much of this original as I can. The glass had like a silk screened artwork on there. I've got a piece on the floor kicking around down here, actually. You can probably just about, no, you might just not be able to see it, but it's that orange and green stuff there. I actually broke the glass for another cabinet that was identical. What I've done is I've used Nitro Moors, and I've stripped the shit out of it, and I've managed to get off the silk screened artwork and the vinyl that backs it. So I've been able to reuse the proper 4mm toughened glass. I've still got, I did the same with the marquee, so this is still glass. I stripped the Windfall Video artwork off that, and I've been able to completely reuse the glass rather than buying new glass for it. The control panel's been completely rebuilt because they were moulded metal panels originally. The panel that was on this was a 4-player panel, and the panel went off onto another Windfall Video cabinet that I had and went off to my mate Ant. So that's now on pride of place on his. The spare panel I've still got in there if anybody needs one. But what I've done on this is I've modified the original Double Dragon 2 marquee artwork to compress it down to fit much better into this space. I had to, you can't tell from this, but I had to rework the Chinese lettering completely in raster, and where it says the Revenge, I had to redo all this in raster. I had to rebalance all the colours, and even though it's hidden behind the marquee retainer at the bottom, I had to rework some of the bottom section as well, so it looked like that is the way it's supposed to be. If you take a look at an original Double Dragon marquee, you'll see that the Chinese lettering is much bigger at the top. The Revenge is situated much lower, and if I'd have compressed it that much, it would have looked super squashed, and I didn't want to do that to the artwork. The look I wanted for these was actually how arcade operators should have done conversions back in the day. You know, not just sticking on the artwork that was supplied with the game board, but, you know, doing it properly and making it like the game belonged in there. So that's what I've done. I've put a new lamp behind there, although it does show where the actual edge of the front of the lower marquee panel is. Unfortunately, there's no way of really getting round that. But it has illuminated it pretty well. You can tell what it is. I've stripped and resprayed the original marquee retainers because they're nice and narrow, so it doesn't hide too much of the artwork. I've kept the original aluminium T-moulding that these cabinets have, because Silver is a kind of theme of this game. Everything's got a lot more shine to it. One of the characters is in like a shiny black, the one's in a shiny white, like silver effect. So I decided to keep that. And when I rebuilt the control panel, obviously I've made this from scratch. The panel on the cabinet, this is most often seen in America, has got like a shaped panel that comes out to the front here, much like the Street Fighter 2 cabinets they used to find their way into. But obviously I've not been able to do that with this. So I've kept it as, you know, in keeping with the shape of this cabinet. I've just done a black front, built a new front for it. Keeping the aluminium T-moulding, what I've done is I built the control panel and I've just used some spare chrome T-moulding that I had, and it fits perfectly with the rest of the T-moulding. Looks like it should always be there. The control panel artwork, I couldn't actually find a decent resolution art file, so again I took the highest resolution art file I could for this game. I upscaled it, and then again in vector and in raster I improved the quality of the artwork. I reshaped it and I removed the button labels which looked like crap originally, and I drew new ones in as close a font as I could find. Drew new boxes for them and moved them into positions that were more suitable for this panel. The joystick is usually a bit further towards centre on this side, and the buttons here are a bit more spread out, if you know what I mean. So I've compressed them in slightly, made it a lot more suitable for this panel, and it looks a lot better. And then I had to redraw the fonts for 1 player and 2 players, which just didn't fit at all. So I've redrew those, and I've obviously put the dragons to sit much more even on this panel. I've then gone with, because there was no standard for the controls, I've gone with black for player 1, black ball top and black buttons, and white for player 2, because that is the outfits they find themselves in on this game. I've added face adhesive bezel artwork behind the glass that I stripped off, thanks to Arcade Art Shop. It's very difficult to apply this. Actually made a slight mistake with this one, but you can't actually tell while I'm panning round. It's actually down in this corner here. I created quite a big crease because it's hard to get it all even because of the way it stretches. So I actually sliced it along one of these lines here and I overlapped it, and you can't really tell. So it's worked out quite nicely. I've got the instruction card there at the bottom. I've got out most of the bubbles on this one, and it just sits nice and evenly. Nice bright screen on this one. Like I say, original Double Dragon 2 board, and I've wired the coin return mechanism on this to actually input credits, because there's no free play mode on Double Dragon 2, or Double Dragon 1 or Double Dragon 2, so I'll be doing the same to that one. So when you press the coin return mechanism, it adds credits onto this, so you don't need a spare extra credit button. I fitted this onto 3-inch rubber wheels, so it now glides backwards and forwards quite nicely. Can't do pivoting wheels on this one because of the way it's shaped. You can see the bolts there going through for where the actual front wheels are. I will be masking over those and spraying those black to blend in with the rubber matting that's on there. I couldn't actually lift the rubber matting without ruining it, so I just left it as is. At the end of the day, it's more important that it moves easily and the base is no longer getting smashed up than it is to have the bottom looking okay. At the end of the day, all that stuff down there is just purely for you know, function of a finish. Now, when it comes to the sides, I can't find anyone who's willing to supply me with the original artwork just yet. The artwork isn't available freely online, but the artwork that is available is shaped to the cabinet they wanted it fitted to originally, which is completely different to this. So what I'll be doing is I need to track down someone who's willing to send me the artwork that they've got. I'll go through some of my various artwork suppliers, and whoever has got that, I'll get them to send me the art file, and what I will do is I will get the bleed area extended well past these areas. It's only like a kind of upper half artwork that it is. It's like a blue background. It looks much like the box cover for the NES game, but with like a blue background. If I can get them to send me that, I will get that ordered in due course and applied to this. But for now, this is as good as it gets. I'd rather do that than use the artwork that used to be supplied with the PCBs, like a proper reproduction, because it'll just look shit if it's cut unevenly. So, and like I say, I'm trying to make it look as though this cabinet was always meant to be this. From the front, I think you'll agree. I think it looks pretty sweet. It's all tidied up nicely. Got the crown, you know, you've got the aluminium kick plate at the front, the aluminium T-moulding, the grey of the cabinet working out quite nicely. You could add the Taito logo to the front, but the original didn't have that, so I'm not going to do that. As far as operation goes, it works perfectly. So I'll just quickly fire up a one-player game. People not as familiar with this game as they are with Double Dragon 1, but you can see it's a nice colourful screen. Still got some kick-ass music, but you've got this left attack, right attack system going on. And it's also a hell of a lot harder, so playing it one-handed isn't really going to be an easy thing to do. You've got some new moves like the hurricane kick. You've got there is like a flying jump kick you can do to the side. Still do the elbow, that's not as effective in this. But you've got a reverse kick, like that. And a roundhouse kick. You can do headlock, but you have to do it using punch on this. Let's fire up player 2, because player 2 is all working sweet. And obviously now the controls match the colour scheme of the players, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this one is now finished as far as I want it to go for now. And I'll just be doing the final touches on the Alien Storm cabinet, which I'll show you in the next video. And I'll be doing the final touches on Double Dragon 1, which I'll also show you in the next video. But I'm quite pleased with this. I've done a lot of this on a budget, but I'm sure you'll agree, it's a perfect substitute for not being able to import, you know, the cabinet that they regularly put it into from America, as is always the case over here. So, but yeah, I hope you like the video anyway, and I'll speak to you soon.